So good morning all of you. Today we are going to discuss the differences between self-pollination and the cross-pollination. Okay. So this is one of the very important topic and this is often asked in the examination. So let's learn the differences. So first is self-pollination. Okay. So the name itself indicate that the pollination in the self-pollination transfer of pollen. Okay. So the pollen is transferred to the stigma in the same flower or in the another flower on the same plant. Okay, so self means only the one plant is involved, okay, in the self pollination. So what happen in this process? The pollination will happen in same plant. So what happen? The pollen, it is transferred, okay, the pollen is transferred to the stigma for the process of pollination, either in the same flower, okay, or on to the another flower of the same plant. Okay, so example I will show you. If there is a plant, okay, and there is a flower, there are two flowers, suppose, okay. So what will happen, that the suppose this is pollen, okay, so either the pollen, they will be transferred to the stigma of the same plant, or these pollen can be transferred to the stigma of the another flower of the same plant, okay. Whereas in the cross pollination, what will happen, that the pollen is transferred in the another flower of the same species, okay. So the pollination will happen in another plant of same species. Okay, it means that the pollen, it is transferred to the stigma of another plant. But remember that the plant should be of same species, okay. So I will explain it from the figure. Suppose there are two flowering point, okay, this is the flower. So in the self, what is happening, that the pollens, they are transferred to the same plants, okay. It can be transferred to the same flower also, or to the different flowers also. So here in the cross pollination, what will happen, there are pollens on the flower. There are two same flower, same variety of flower, they are close by, okay. So what will happen, the pollen of this plant, of this flower, it will be transferred to the flower of another plant of the same species. And how this can be happen, through the action of the mediator that are known as pollinators. So pollinators, they are the agent for causing the pollination, okay. So this is the first difference. Now we are going to learn the second difference between the two process. So this self pollination in occurring in, we'll write the example, it is occurring in wheat and tomato, okay. So these plants, they are exhibiting the self pollination pattern, whereas the apple and tulips, okay, they are the example for the cross pollination, okay. The third difference between the two is, okay, how it is happening, okay. So the mode, so the self pollination, it is occurring through either the touch, like if the plants, the stigma and they are the flower part, they are touching each other, then the pollen will be transferred to the stigma, or due to the winds also, due to the wind, the pollen will fall onto the stigma, okay. So the touch or the wind aids means help, okay, they aid in self pollination. Okay. However, in the cross pollination, the pollen has to transfer a certain distance. Okay, so there are pollinators, already told you. So what kind of pollinators? Like birds, air, wind, or insects like bee. They will sit on one flower, and to their sticky legs the pollen will get attached. Okay, so then they will sit on to the another plants, the flower of another plants, and those pollens will be transferred to the stigma. So these agents, they are helping in the cross pollination. Okay, the fourth difference between the self pollination and the cross pollination is in terms of their maturation. Okay, so in the self pollination flower, there should be the same maturation time for stigma and anther. Okay, so the maturation time of stigma and the anthers, it should be same. Okay, otherwise, if the pollen will mature first and stigma is not ready, then pollination will not occur. So this is the natural process, that the maturation time of both the organ required for the pollination should be the same. Okay, they should be mature at the same time. Whereas in the cross pollination flowers, the maturity time, it can differ. Okay, so different maturity time, because different maturity time of what? Different maturity time of for stigma and anther. So now it is clear for you that why the time for maturation does not matter in case of cross pollination, because anyway the pollination is not from one plant. So suppose this flower, in this flower the pollens are mature earlier. Okay, and in this flower the pollen will not mature so early, but the stigma is matured. Okay, so there is a difference between the pollen as well as stigma maturation time. So what will happen when the mature pollen, they will reach this flower that has mature stigma, then the pollination will occur. Okay, so the maturation time does not have impact the cross pollination in the same way that happens in the self pollination method. Okay, so the fifth difference between the two is that for the self pollination, since there is no agent required, the no pollinators are required, so the flowers are less showy. Okay, less showy means that they do not exhibit very very attractive colors or scent. Why? Because like if there is attractive scent or color is there, then only the birds or the insect, they are attracted to the plant and flower, and then they will sit there, or they will take the pollen to another flower unknowingly. Okay, so this is happening because of the less because of the showy traits. So the flower of self pollination does not require pollinators, so they are less showy. The plant will not invest in energy into showy purpose. However, for the cross pollination, the flower need to be showy and scented. Okay, showy and more scented to attract the pollinators. Okay, so the sixth difference between the two processes is that in the self pollination, the flower, it can, so the flower, it can be closed or open. Okay, so the process of, since the pollen, they are transferred onto the stigma of the same flower or the another flower, the flower, it can be closed or open. Okay, however, for the cross pollination, the flower should always be open. Okay, this is mandatory. And the last difference between the two processes is due to the self pollination, there will be less diversity. Okay, and homozygous, the flowers are homozygous. Okay, now since there is less diversity and homozygous plants are there, so the lack of production of new varieties will occur. due to the process of self-pollination. Okay, however, in the cross-pollination, since it involves two different plants, there will be high diversity, there will be more heterozygosity. Okay, and the production of new varieties will happen due to the cross pollination. Okay, so there will be lack of production of new varieties as only single plant is involved. However, in case of cross pollination, there are high chances of production of new varieties. Okay, because of production of new varieties, because of involvement of several plants, okay, of same species. So this is all in the current video. So I tried to explain the differences between self pollination and cross pollination in 7 points. Thank you for watching the video.